Hey guys, um, I think it's time I discuss this. The truth about Christianity. Well, actually, hold on. Not the truth. More like, more like what I've learned so far. Make that bigger. This is the truth about Christianity, what I've learned so far. There's always been a little debate. There's always been a debate about, about Catholics versus Christians. Right? There's always been a little debate about them. Which one is, which one is right and which one's wrong? The truth is, the truth about these two that nobody realizes is that both of these are actually, they're actually correct. But there's also one that's wrong. Which one is wrong? Well, that's what we're gonna explain. Alright, so the truth about these two is that they're actually not verses. It's more like this, honestly. There's actually a third one that nobody realizes. Oh crap. There's actually a third one that's been hidden for some reason. Nobody talks about this one for some reason. It's called Protestants. What is Protestants? The truth about this is that it's not that these two are different, it's that they're actually the same. And this is also. So, this is what this channel is about, right? This, nobody knows what this is. This is a mystery. Nobody's ever talked about what Protestants is. We've heard stuff about Muslims or Buddhist or, all that stuff. Jews, Islams. But this, we've also talked about this and this. We've always talked about how these are enemies. But this has never been brought up. Why has this never been brought up? Well, we're going to talk about this. The truth is Christians is not Christians. Christians is actually just Christian. The truth is these both, they're both Christian. They're both considered Christians. What is the difference though? Alright, so here's what we're going to talk. This is where we start to get serious. Everyone that's considered themselves Christian. Everyone that considers themselves Christian that aren't that aren't Catholic. Everyone that considers themselves Christians, not Catholic, they're actually not considered Christian. They're actually considered Protestant. There is no such thing as just a Christian. There's never been. There's never been anybody that's been defined Christian. Because both of these are Christian. Both of these. What is Protestant? Protestant is what most of you are. Anybody that isn't a Catholic and defines themselves as a Christian is actually called a Protestant. There isn't a third option. There is no third option. There's just Christian. What is a Protestant? We're gonna describe that right now. We're gonna describe that. We're gonna add a little description here to look at. So a Protestant is somebody who protests against the Catholic religion, right? So that's what that is. Now, who made the Catholic religion, though? Jesus Christ made the Catholic religion and had Peter run the Catholic Church. And be the first pope in history. That's a little way to describe Catholics. I don't know how to describe Catholics fully, so I'm not gonna give it its real definition. This is basically the difference between the two. That's what it is. Jesus. We also gotta just put down who made Protestants. So we're gonna real quick pull up this. It was Martin Luther who made it. Martin Luther made that. So we're gonna put that in. Martin Luther. Martin Luther made the Protestants Church. It looks like I typed that wrong. Protestants. Yeah, I did. He made the Protestants Church. Alright, so now we're starting to get something here. I'm being completely fair about this. I am not trying to make Catholics as believing as possible. I'm not trying to prove to you guys that this is right and this is wrong. I'm not trying to show that. I'm not targeting this. I am being fair, and I am describing the evidence I found about this and this. This is what we have so far. This is what we have. Now we need to figure out, is there proof that Jesus Christ made the Catholic Church and Mr. Martin Luther made the Protestant Church? We're gonna actually describe this. Okay. So, he made this religion. Okay. We're obviously not gonna base it off of Google because we all want to learn from the Bible. But most of you would look it up, so I'm going to get this part out of your way. Martin Luther made it. This is not something I did. I didn't like type something and then cut it out and then type this and didn't search it up. Like I'll even search it up again a second time. It literally shows Martin Luther made the Protestant religion, which is what most of you follow. It is a branch of Christianity. Now, did Jesus make it? Absolutely not. Jesus did not make this religion. And I'll double do it. It was like Martin Luther, John Calvin, and however you say that. Did Jesus make the Catholic religion? Yes. He did. I'll double do it again. He did. So that's out of your way. Jesus made the Catholic religion. Alright. So we got these knocked out. But the question is, we didn't knock out this part. We didn't knock out Peter running the Catholic Church or being the first pope. Now, I am going to cut the video because it's going to require me to look in the Bible and It's a big book. I'm not going to keep you guys here for a while, so I'm going to take the time of my day, look in the Bible, and find the evidence we are looking for, and see if there is a Bible verse that explains this. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I did make a little bit of changes. Now I'm going to explain why this would be proof of this. Okay, so we're going to start off with this. Matthew 16:18 explains Peter running the Catholic Church, right? And I tell you, and I tell you, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of the netherworld shall not prevail against it. Now, it doesn't say specifically the Catholic Church, so obviously that isn't enough proof, right? So that's where we're gonna get into which was made first, like which is closest to the time that is explained. Okay, so this is where we start to get to this. This was made in the early 30s of the Common Era. What is the Common Era? Basically, a little bit after Jesus. Like after Jesus was here, like a few years. Protestants, they were made in 1517. What does 1570 resemble? 1517 means this religion was made 1,517 years since Christ's arrival. That's a big difference from a few years to 1,000.5 years. And not to mention this was made by man because man I don't know why actually. My assumption is he was upset by the rules of the Catholic Church. I don't know. I mean that's kind of hard to argue with. I'm being dead serious. That's kind of hard to argue with here. The difference between a few years and 1,000.5 years. That's a big difference. It's kind of hard to debate, honestly. So far this is looking right. Now, I am going to leave this chart here for whenever I find new information because I'm not going to stop. My goal is to show everyone which religion is right, and so far, we have all discovered what we have resolved so far is that this is correct. And this is wrong so far. This is what we got out of it. I am open to listening to your comments to add to this chart if you found information to prove that this is right or this is right or this is wrong and this is wrong. I am open to information and I am gonna look into it. I'm not just gonna randomly pick your comments and be like, ooh, this makes sense. I'm gonna look into it to see if you're right. So I want evidence. I don't want you to just give me something random just so you can mislead people. Um, this is what we've gathered so far. This is what we have. Thank you for watching. Um, I will be back soon to continue this debate. I can't tell you how soon because I'm not going to learn something in a week or so. I have gathered all this information over about a year. I've been looking into this for a year ever since I talked to one of my friends in school. We looked something up called we looked up because I'm Catholic and he's a Protestant, but we thought it was Christian. We didn't know this name was a thing at the time, so we just said Catholic and Christian. So we looked up, did Jesus make the Catholic religion? Yes. We looked up, did Jesus make the Christian religion? He said yes. So we were confused. Ever since then, I've been looking into this. And this is what I found so far. And I'm finding a more worthy answer than what I found at the other time. I'm finding a more satisfying answer. So, this is what we got so far. This is what I've learned so far. But, most of this stuff is coming from, like, some of this stuff is coming from, like, my parents and stuff. Like, I'm not just listening to them, I promise you. I looked into it. I looked into it. I mean, I have proof right here. Like, I've looked into this. I didn't just say, like, oh, they're my parents, they must be right. I looked into it. But my parents are Catholic, so obviously they're going to give me information about this. But this, I'm not this religion. So, you might have heard things that I haven't heard. So if you are one of those people, I want you to go in my comments, give me information about whatever you've learned that I haven't talked about yet for part 2. And we are going to settle this debate. I want to end this debate. I want this video to go viral so we can all come together and figure this out together. I have a theory that all those influencers that call themselves Christians, which they are really Protestants, stop calling yourselves Christian because these are both Christian. These are different. We're talking about branches of Christianity. We're not just saying we're all Christian. I know what you guys mean by Christian, but all those Protestant influencers, um, I have a theory that they could be the Antichrist because it is said that the Antichrist is more than one person. Jesus never said be one, and obviously it's meant to mislead people in a confusing way that not everybody's gonna know. And this religion has influenced lots of people. So if it's true, then this is a very convincing religion, but it's also not correct. So I want you all to go in my comments if you learned something. Don't give me some random stuff because you're angry or you think I'm wrong and you want to prove it with the most absurd evidence that isn't even true. Because I promise you I'll look into it like crazy. Like I'm gonna make sure it's real. I'll even open my Bible. Um, I want you guys to go in the comments and tell me what you know. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time.